Cecil, I feel like Han Solo in A New Hope, episode 4,
Mhm.
when they're dressed up like stormtroopers,
Yeah.
and then they get in the shootout in the prison level, and then
Mhm.
the supervisor checks in and is like, "What's going on down there?" He's like, "It's fine. Everything's fine. How are you?"
Everything is fine.
"Hey,
See,
Broncos fans, how are you?"
yeah, everything's fine. Why do they make stormtroopers seem so, incompetent? They're humans too under there somewhere, living things with
Well, they were
souls, kinda.
clones. That's why. And they
Oh.
were the clones of the clones, and that's why they kept getting worse and worse.
Never make a clone of a clone. You
Mhm.
always learn that when you're young.
That's right. Let's learn some stuff about the NFL now.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Well, we got about 10 games to go through in Sunday's action, which is still going on. We'll talk to you about the boring afternoon games, but let's talk about the Atlanta-Jacksonville game, audible Sunday recap, and it is Jacksonville getting things back on track, 23-7, as they're harassing Desmond Ridder all day. So 23-7, not really shocked by that score, Bloom, but let's jump in. Falcons now 2-2, Jaguars now 2-2. Ridder sacked 4 times, threw a couple of picks, 191 yards, 1 touchdown on the day. That's Drake London, 3 for 28. Bijan Robinson, I love him, 14 for 105 on the ground, and then 5 for 32 as a receiver. And then not Kyle Pitts, it's Jonnu Smith, 6 for 95. Kyle Pitts could do that. Anyway, Atlanta side, let's get through this, Bloom. But you saw pressure on Desmond Ridder, and it makes him look mortal. Shocker.
Yeah, Cease, I think this is a really good moment. Again, we talked about Taylor Heineke. We brought up his name on the show this week. And now you really feel like Desmond Ridder is a few steps out on the plank, right? It isn't like a first-round pick that the Falcons are invested in, and we really want to let him fail over and over again before we give up on him. And you have a team that can contend in this division. So are you going to let that wither on the vine? You're going to let Kyle Pitts wither on the vine. And this is like an elaborate practical joke the fantasy gods are pulling on us, right, Cease? That Jonnu Smith is consistently, not that Jonnu
Right.
Smith's a poor player, although he was a salary dump for the Patriots, but either the Falcons really, really missed on Kyle Pitts, and you see a few plays a game, usually not on a completion, that shows you that they didn't really miss. The NFL didn't miss on their evaluation of Kyle Pitts. Just the lack of quarterback play and the lack of ingenuity on offense is keeping the number 4 overall pick from 3 years ago from having an influence on games, and not just fantasy games. I know that's what we're caring about, but this is something that's coaching malpractice, if you ask me. Either that or you're admitting you made a big mistake. See, so we talk about the window of your quarterback on a rookie salary, but any player you take in the top 5 on a rookie salary is supposed to be a value that gives you more roster flexibility, and they certainly did bring in a lot of free agents that have helped the defense, but the offense, Arthur Smith, not getting it done. So let's watch out for that change. Drake London got a touchdown, had another one where he was shoved out, didn't get both feet down. It's there. So I think with our whole takes on this offense, even Tyler Algier, who you might not want to hold, he could bounce back. It's there for this offense if they get competent quarterback play. And then, of course, there's Bijan Robinson. Whatever is wrong with this team has nothing to do with Bijan Robinson. This is not Drake London. This is not Kyle Pitts, where you have a top 10 pick that you're not using to influence the game like a top 10 pick. He is. It's just not enough for this team. Their star is fading. They're facing a team whose star is rising against Houston next week.
Yeah, Jacksonville side of things. Well, here we go. Trevor Lawrence, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Calvin Ridley, 2 for 38 and a touch. It's enough. Evan Ingram, 7 for 59. It's enough. Christian Kirk, 8 for 84. No Zay Jones again. That's plenty. If you started him, Travis Etienne, 20 for 55. Wanted a little bit more, 3 for 17 as a receiver there. So Jacksonville gets the win. And again, that's all that counts. Most of it was done in the first half, and then cruise control after that.
Beating a lesser team by just not making more mistakes than them, that might be enough to win the AFC South this year, South versus South. Lawrence, disappointing for fantasy output, but played well. Didn't have Zay Jones, didn't have Jamal Agnew. Calvin Ridley was tied up by A.J. Terrell. There was a good touchdown on an improvisation play by Lawrence to Ridley. If it wasn't for that, and Ridley did draw a long pass interference, but it could have been a bust. And anytime we look at a number one receiver, it's Nico Collins next week going up against A.J. Terrell. We're going to pause. We're not going to pause playing Christian Kirk, certainly not next week against Buffalo. So Jacksonville, another matchup with an elite Super Bowl contender after they played Kansas City pretty close earlier. Not a lot of room for Travis Etienne to run in this one, but getting the workload that you want here. Evan Ingram getting the volume as usual too. I think this is a bounce back offense. Cam Robinson's coming back next week. Brandon Scherf's been banged up. They've had a rookie at right tackle. Their wide receivers have been banged up. So I think that if everyone can get healthy, this can be an offense on the rise. Maybe not next week against Buffalo, but in the future, better things are coming.
Let's talk about those Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills. The next game to recap here, week 4 recap on the Audible. And oh my God,
Yeah.
a clash of the Titans. I can't wait for round 2. And then round 3, Sigmund. But it is the Buffalo Bills getting the win, 48-20, the final score. Bills 3-1, Dolphins 3-1. And when you put it on them, and you intentionally put it on them, well, maybe Mike McDaniel will have something to say next time. This time, Tua, 282, 1 up, 1 down, 1 TD, 1 INT. The touchdown to Braxton Berrios, 6 for 43. Jalen Waddle's return is 4 for 46. Tyreek Hill is 3 for 58 on the day. Raheem Mostert, you started. What a week last week. Well, 3 for 36 as a receiver, 7 for 9 as a runner. Devon Achane. I just remember 4chan, so Achane. I always called him Achane. Anyway, Achane. 8 for 101 and 2 rushing touchdowns. Those were early. They got him jump started. You saw some fight, but Buffalo would not let up in this contest. The Dolphins did what they could this time around.
Cease, don't you love Achane? Once he has that big performance saying, no, I'm going to clarify this. It's Janet, Mr. Achane. If you're nasty, he was nasty again, getting into the end zone twice. And eventually this crazy efficiency on limited volume, it will let up. But now if you were looking at Achane after last week thinking, am I really going to play him? Committee back on the road against Buffalo. Well, yeah, you're really going to play him next week against the Giants. And even though Mostert didn't come through for us, we see this rushing game, even in a game that they're losing by 28 points, is going to be one of the most productive backfields. But you did see Tua and his downfield receiving. That game was contained. And we saw the Patriots actually do a decent job containing this passing game. So you can see that floor ceiling, but this is a floor game, 282 and a touchdown. That's a floor game for Tua this year. And against the Giants, it will not be a floor game next week. Similarly with Hill and Waddle, when you see Braxton Berrios and Durham Smythe showing up big in the box score, chances are that means your defense did a good job. It means you forced Tua to throw to them instead of taking candy from a baby. Definitely the Buffalo Bills defense is growing up. You see what they did against Washington. We'll talk about Washington, what that did last week. What they did is more impressive. This was impressive. The offense, that was capital I impressive.
That was impressive. And the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, I'm going to put it on ya. That's a Big Mama's house too, I believe.
Yeah.
320, 4 touchdowns from Joshy Allen, 6 for 120 and 3 touchdowns for Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis has been a thing. Hope you're starting him every week. 3 for 61 and a touch. And then James Cook had a touchdown. Josh Allen had a rushing touchdown. Cook with 12 for 29 on the ground. Latavius Murray, 4 for 32, 2 for 24 as a receiver. James Cook also had 1 catch for 48 yards. So that's significant. They're still not using Dalton Kincaid quite the way they should. But either way, lots of Diggs, enough Davis, and enough Cook to get this thing done and done.
Yeah, you see Josh Allen looking really comfortable. And this is another one, Cease, where you say, geez, if they just could play the Super Bowl in October, the Bills would have to be feeling really, really good. Stephon Diggs, a weak winner. You did see Cook get a touchdown on a goal line carry. The fumble, it was a touch and go play, but he did keep his hands on the ball, and he did score on that one. Like you said, Gabe Davis, as long as he gets that touchdown every week, you're happy. Dalton Kincaid was involved more early, but as the Bills pulled away, they really didn't need to stay in passing mode here. And the last thing for the Bills, Tre'Davious White, their number one corner, goes down with an Achilles injury, non-contact injury. You never want to see that. So that's the thing. They lose White during this game. They didn't have Jordan Poyer. You saw a big interception from Micah Hyde. Remember, those safeties were banged up all year last year. So the Bills are looking good. Again, a good matchup against Jacksonville next week. But they have to feel like they are now finally, Cease, we can say, truly the division favorite, at least as of right now.
Yeah, you win, but at what cost? You got the Death Star plans, but many Bothans died. on this mission.
Mhm.
Was that I hear a bell, Bloom, and I do like megahertz therapy, like
Yeah.
listening to certain sound waves, which are very good for your soul. Are you doing some sort of like
Yeah, it's
therapy, like some
the
sound
singing
bowl
bells.
therapy?
Let's
Yeah.
just say, we don't appreciate sometimes the resonance of our kitchen utensils and pans, so we should make a
Mhm.
band out of all the stuff in our kitchen cabinets.
Yeah, that's what we should do. Also, what we should do, and we should have done this first. I
Mhm.
apologize. I get in the cold open, plus I got a lot to do. I
Yeah.
apologize, Bloom, and thank you for your patience. Thank everyone for their patience. But disbanded brotherhood, one of our favorites here in the chat room, says the first quarter's coming to an end. That's kind of the thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like this first chapter. Now, our next game, we didn't learn anything, but like this is the first quarter of the season. Okay, what did they show? What
Mhm.
can they do? But we're 4 weeks in now, and we're kind of getting to know the identities of these teams.
Yeah, I think that we're continuing to try to triangulate, and there are things that we know with some certainty, and there are things that we're still doing some fact finding on. Then there are things that we thought we knew, and then with the new data points, we have to double back, and we're always correcting what we know for matchups. Again, we look back and say, for instance, Buffalo shutting down Washington last week. Well, we thought, hey, maybe that was just the first really solid defense Washington faced, but they faced another solid defense today and did a lot more. So we're always recontextualizing, but it's true, Cease, and it is about the windows. And I think you can see which teams are in strong windows for their offenses, which teams are in strong windows for their defenses. And then there are teams like we talked about with Jacksonville that it is going to come together probably down the line, not right now. And when a team is winning, when they're not firing on all cylinders, that's a pretty good place to be.
Yes, it's a good place to be. First fired? Well, Eberflus, right? It's got to be. We'll talk about it next
Yeah.
game up here on the Audible. And it's a Broncos show. But Denver against Chicago, and Denver wins? I haven't said that yet, the Sean Payton era, Bloom. So it's a little interesting. 31-28, the final score. The Bears are 0-4. The Broncos are 1-3. And what did we learn? Well, Russell Wilson does what he does, right? It's okay. It's enough. 223, 3 touchdowns. You look at his season numbers, like it's efficiency wise comparable to Pat Mahomes. So whatever. Jerry Jeudy looks healthy for the first time this season, 3 for 52. So maybe that's a trend that continues. Cortland Sutton continues to be somewhat involved, 3 for 27 and a touchdown. Marvin Mims needs to be more involved, but I said in Scott Barrett's thread, and thank you, Scott, for watching the show, and just thank you for being an awesome person in the fantasy community, first and foremost. But when he talked about like Marvin Mims and Cecil giving away clues, well, I chimed in on that thread, and I was like, they got to run in order for Mims to be involved, because what's interesting is when they run in practice, and there's stuff in practice they're doing that they're sparingly do in the games, and that's mostly McLaughlin. There's more McLaughlin there, everybody, and there might be because Javante's banged up. But the Mims clue is if you think they're going to run a lot, that's more Marvin Mims. Because when you see him, it's amazing. He does good things, but you can't trust it. There's a Public Enemy line because it's 2 for
No.
47. But there's a big 48 play. It's like, we could just do more of that. Jaleel McLaughlin, 7 for 72. Oh, but he had the big 31 yarder. Okay, 6 for 41. You jerk. Like, it's, I hate when people are like, you got to take away the longest. Like, no, don't be dumb. Two
Right.
rules. Don't be dumb. Don't be in a cult. Jaleel
Right.
McLaughlin, 10 yards of carry. Thank you. More, please. Again, more. He does mess up in pass pro, which I did ask him about last week. Anyway, 3 for 32 and a touchdown receiving for Jaleel McLaughlin. So you see it's there. And Javonte has a hip injury now. So let's talk Broncos.
Yeah, you get the win, but you were losing 28-7 to the Bears. So, yeah. And I think, Cece, you're giving folks a good decoder ring that Mims, his spike weeks can come if the Broncos ever control a game. Next week against the Jets, I don't know. We'll see. Russell Wilson had a good game for fantasy because he was trailing to the Bears. This is one of the worst defenses in the league. It's nothing to be proud of, Russ. Hey, wait,
Right.
that works. And this is one of those moments where, okay, Russell Wilson had a good fantasy game, but because of the nature of this passing game, well, nobody else had a good game in this passing game. There's not anyone we can trust. We thought we could trust Javonte Williams coming into this one. And like you said, he leaves with a hip injury. Jaleel McLaughlin, Cecil's been telling you about the Penguin, the Youngstown State Penguin. So we'll be talking about him on the Waiver Wire show. Maybe you won't need to use that advice because you were listening to Cecil earlier. And is this good for Sean Payton? I don't know, but they're going to have a much more physical matchup next week So this might be just a dream that they wake up from against the Jets.
What did Biggie say? It was all a dream.
Yeah.
I used to read Word Up magazine. Nobody wants to hear me rap. The Bears fans don't want to hear me talk about this game because while Justin Fields gets his first 300-yard game, it is a Vance Joseph defense. And if there's one rule in fantasy, start when you play Vance Joseph. I don't care where he's at. He'll be coaching in the minor leagues next year. Anyway, 335, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT for Justin Fields. Costly one at the end. That was the INT. Kareem Jackson. DJ Moore, 8 for 131 and a touch, getting open on even Pat Surtain. Cole Kmet, 7 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. Darnell Mooney, 4 for 51. Okay. Equinemius St. Brown, nice little tiptoe catch. Whatever is whatever. Khalil Herbert, 18 for 103. Roshan, only 5 for 13. Oh, catch for 2 yards there. Herbert had 4 for 19 and a receiving touchdown there as well. So it's like, is he a robot? Is he not a robot? Eberflus, like Justin Fields, he figures it out and then gives the game away when they're driving with plenty of time, even though they lost a timeout. Like, it's the Bears, man. Embarrassment.
Yes, they put the bear in embarrassing. And even though Fields did have that self-inflicted wound in the second half, there's something to build from here. Even though they lost to the Broncos, there's something to build from here. And it's the same thing that they should have been building from him last year, giving him a little more freedom, allowing him to get in the feel of the game. See, so those touchdowns he was throwing, how many of those were design plays that he was just executing the play because the play worked? And how many of those were Justin Fields using his natural football instincts, which because he's so physically talented, work. It's just how he engages with the game, and you should set him up for that. So hopefully they are reminded of that. And of course, Justin Fields, if you bought low, or if you're wondering whether to start him, it's Chicago against Washington next week. So you probably are going to start him. And then you see when he's comfortable, DJ Moore comes alive. Cole Kmet comes alive. Remember when he was comfortable in the second half of the year last year, it was Kmet. And well, all that talk. Oh boy, we had a rough week with late breaking information on Sunday morning. Wondering where some of the stuff's coming from. Rashawn Johnson's going to have a large role. No, it's Khalil Herbert really punching his way out of the corner a la Alexander Madison. He's going to keep this job. He's going to look good. He's going to look good as a receiver. He's going to benefit from this improving offense. We thought it was Rashawn Johnson, not necessarily Rashawn Johnson's a drop, but let's save that for Tuesday morning, 11 o'clock, 11:05 Eastern. Come and join us for the Waiver Wire show here. But at least Fields is better for fantasy. Fields is better as someone you're considering as the long-term centerpiece of this franchise. And see, so if you're asking me, am I going to trust Ryan and Matt? Or am I going to trust Justin going forward? With ownership, you hope they pick B, Justin Fields. That's the guy to build around, not the quote-unquote brain trust.
Well, yeah, they are a brain trust. Bare necessities.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm going to have that song stuck in my head. But let's get a different song. And we will get to Baltimore and Cleveland. That's interesting. Bloom, we're gonna have to talk about this late breaking Sunday stuff. I was running a race this morning.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was blissfully unaware of this type of stuff. And then I just sit down to watch the Broncos. I was like, wait a second, what? Okay, 28-3, the final score. Ravens get the win. They're 3-1. Cleveland's 2-2. Let's talk about Ravens first. Lamar Jackson, 15-19, 186, 2 touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns. He's amazing. He's awesome. 9 for 27 on the ground, by the way. The 2 touchdowns, of course, Mandrews. Could have guessed it. Zay Flowers. I love him. 3 for 56 in this one. Melvin Gordon played. Whatever. Gus Edwards, 15 for 48. Hey, Justice Hill played 3 for 33. Okay, good, Justice. You didn't get hurt, right, Bloom?
Right.
Anyway, so we see in this game a mixed cast of characters. But it's the guys that we expect to come through that came through for Baltimore.
Yeah, this was a game. He's coming in. You thought Cleveland with this surging defense. Cleveland is showing maybe at home that they're going to be the team to beat in this division. But no, Baltimore, who still hasn't really clicked, partially because so many players have been hurt. It's Baltimore, after all. But this team overcoming these injuries, and Lamar Jackson is in command. And even though it's a Todd Monken offense, it still looks like a Greg Roman offense in so much as you have low pass volume, higher run volume, but Lamar Jackson coming through on those key plays and really coming through as a fantasy quarterback again, even though he has this tough defense. This might be the best fantasy day any quarterback puts up against Cleveland this year. Gus Edwards led the backfield, but if it's a 3-headed backfield, especially against a defense like Cleveland, next week's the Steelers. Still not an easy defense to run on. But yes, Mandrews is back. Doesn't still look completely healthy. Doesn't look that great on the hoof, but so rugged after the catch, so good in the red zone, and certainly has Lamar Jackson's eye. So you like that. Yeah, this is Baltimore's division, even though they lost to the Colts. And this is a team now that can start thinking of bigger things because, again, they're leading the division. Even though they did lose to the Colts, they're still 3-1, and this team hasn't come together yet.
Yeah, Dorian Thompson Robinson, DTR. He's a kid. There's going to be days like this. 3 picks, 4 sacks. He's a kid. There's some talent, but he's a rookie. And, we'll watch his career with great interest. David Njoku, 6 for 46. Why am I reading any of this?
Yeah,
if you started your Browns, you're mostly disappointed because they started a rookie today.
Yeah, you wondered maybe with Dorian Thompson Robinson. That's why they say DTR, right? He was under Chip Kelly. They had him do a lot of NFL responsibilities. He got better every year. You thought
good at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, and you thought, well, with a surprise start, Deshaun Watson, and they do at least have their bye next week. So Deshaun Watson with his shoulder, you hope that gets better. I mean, you hope that does for Cleveland. But Thompson Robinson was just overwhelmed. His interceptions were poor throws. You just saw Baltimore's defense really feast that blood in the water feeding frenzy. He's just not ready. And that's where they are right now. David Njoku actually did okay, even though he burned his face in a fire pit incident, came to the stadium with a mask on. Oh, and they said the question was whether he could see, this is painful to even say. The question was whether he could put his helmet on, actually get his helmet on over. Oh, man. And he did. Football. That's football for you. Jerome Ford was okay. Did okay for you in PPR. With this defense, hopefully coming out of the bye, you'll see a better offense with Deshaun Watson. And hope this team just puts this behind them and they get back on track and say, it was a rookie quarterback. Everything kind of got away from us. The defense wasn't able to put their stamp on this game. So heal up, Deshaun, and week 6 could be the start of another new season for this team.
Yeah, I got to be careful with those fire pits, man. Like, serious. Square biz, y'all. Like, okay. Poor Greg. I'm feeling for you, Greg, man. Especially losing to your former self, right? That's kind of what this game was, right? I lost to my past self.
That happens all the time, actually. I'm still taking L's that my past self put in motion.
We'll leave that one alone. Let's talk about footballguys.com and subscribing to our YouTube channel. You want to help the show, become a premium member at footballguys.com. One price, annual price subscription. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's glorious. And we love you for it. Thank you. No dumb super chats. Pay us for you to put your comment on the board. Like, no, come in here, have some fun with this and help our YouTube channel grow. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Bengals and Titans is the next game up. And we got a lot to get through today. So let's get to going. And Bloom, I'm feeling like I'm in a good mood, mainly because we're going to talk about the Steelers last. Anyway, 27-3, Cincinnati. Like, okay, Cincinnati. They're 1-3. Tennessee's 2-2. It's Mike Vrabel, baby. But like, you played Joe Burrow. He's all right, 20 of 30, 165. It's just not. It's not him, right? It's like an imposter. Jamar Chase, 7 for 73. Tyler Boyd, 4 for 27. T. Higgins, 2 for 19, whatever. Joe Mixon, 14 for 67. I would rather have seen Joe Burrow shut down 2-3 weeks, month, whatever. Get right, man. What if this was Joe Burrow's first game, right? If he'd missed the first few games, and yeah, your record's probably still the same, but you'd probably be feeling better than you are right now, Bengals fans.
Yeah, this was a game following a game on Monday night where they had a strong defensive performance. Joe Burrow did enough. And then you saw, even though there was a Monday night game, Burrow not on the injury report coming into this one. Do you think, well, is it improving? Is it getting? No, it's not improving. It's not getting better. Since you're a comic book creator and connoisseur, this is like one of those episodes in a comic book saga where the kryptonite's working. You're watching him try to battle through it, but it's painful. And especially without T. Higgins, who left with a rib injury in this one. Jamar Chase still did okay, but again, you see his ceiling isn't going to be as good. This was supposed to be a good matchup against a Tennessee pass defense that's vulnerable. It didn't happen. You saw even Tyler Boyd with Higgins out, not really putting that much on the board for anybody considering picking him up in fantasy leagues. Joe Mixon still running the ball okay, but they're not getting the game scripts, and they're going to face a plucky Arizona team next week. So, Cecil, you're right. I mean, they're trying to dig out of this hole, but with Joe Burrow, the shovel it's broken, it's bent. It's not going to be able to move much of this dirt, and the hole is just going to get deeper. So you really question this. I understand you don't want to just give up the season putting Burrow on IR, but maybe the issue of the comic where Burrow fights back is next year, not this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not this year. Not this year. If you don't have conflict, you don't have a story. Well, Tennessee, their story is we're riding Ryan Tannehill to the very end.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 1 INT for Tannehill today. And, you saw Derrick Henry get in there and throw a pass as well. So he had a touchdown pass too, helping his day. We're at a rushing touchdown, 22 for 122 for Henry, and then a touchdown pass. And then 1 catch for 11 yards as the receivers. DeAndre Hopkins with 4 for 63 as a receiver. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, 5 for 51 and a touchdown. And there's Josh Wiley, 2 for 26 and a touchdown. Nobody started him. I still love Chiggy. I am not starting Chiggy. Of course, mostly dynasty-wise. But anyway, Bloom, this is Tennessee. This is just...
Yeah.
I could read the same damn box score every week, and the results would probably be about the same.
Yeah, well, you can read Derrick Henry's box score, and I can tell you whether the Titans won. And
exactly.
This was a Derrick Henry Titans win box score. Ryan Tannehill played well in this one. Could have had a better fantasy day if Henry didn't throw one of the touchdowns. And you saw them getting a lot of different receivers involved. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine doing more with Traylon Burks out. Derrick Henry, what you like with the Derrick Henry passes at the goal line sees, and we'll talk about this with Mike McDaniel. Well, I didn't talk about it with McDaniel. McDaniel, when he was good, was using Tyreek Hill as that tennis ball where the dog is following the tennis ball. That's Derrick Henry taking the snap. You're getting your feet dug in to stop him, and then he just takes a step and throws a touchdown. It works every single time. And Cincinnati's defense, which looks so good against the Rams, did not look so good in this one. DeAndre Hopkins looking healthier too. Not a big stat line, but looking like the DeAndre Hopkins that the Titans hoped they got when they signed him before the season. So that, again, the AFC South's wide open. The Titans, they're a team that knows how to come back from expectations. The league, by the way, with the 6-game suspensions for gambling, they lower it to 4. So Nicholas Petit-Frere, little brother, he's going to be in to help this offensive line next week. Titans, things are looking up just as they go to face the Colts in a showdown game.
Yeah, disbanded brotherhood saying barrow me a G. Like the Thug Life EP. If you want to talk about taking me back to the day, late 90s Jeep top off, like, and playing that EP, it's on CD. Kids don't even know. You don't even know the struggle. Had a 6-disc changer though, and those 6 discs, very important. In a Jeep, it's underneath the back seat, so you can reach it while you're driving. 2 hands on the wheel, but like the 6 discs that you would choose, like I always had a Faith No More CD in. I always had the Thug Life EP in. Probably some Master P floating around somewhere. Make them say, Bloom. That's down in your parts.
Yeah, I will say that Fish Hampton Comes Alive. I remember when they put out that 6-disc set. That's the whole 6-disc changer right there for your fish head.
Roly, you said it when I was drinking. Roly-poly fish heads. Rams and Colts is up next on this program. And here we go, LA Rams. And oh my God. You will love what you're getting. 29-23, by the way, is the final score. And it is the Rams over the Colts. The Rams are 2-2. The Colts are 2-2. Matthew Stafford, 319, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. It's Puka Nacua, 9 for 163 and a touchdown. It's amazing. It's going to be there, everybody.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, amazing. Think about what your Rams have done for you, right? Whether it's the waiver wire or whether you draft them late or whatever. But it's like Kyron Williams, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Amazing. It's from Archer. Look it up. Puka Nacua, 9 for 163 and a touch. Amazing. I love it. Tyler Higbee, 5 for 64. And that's enough. That's usually more than what he gets now with Puka doing his thing. By the way, Kyron had 3 for 24. So, again, you maybe started 2-2, a little disappointed, 5 for 24. But either way, these guys are getting it done.
Yeah, they're competitive, a lot more competitive than expected. Without Cooper Kupp, we're going to see about the reports of when he's coming back to practice. Sounds like the plan is sooner than later. And what's that going to mean for this offense with Matthew Stafford playing well, a little banged up in this one, but coming through in overtime. Puka Nacua, fantasy points, Cease, eat them up, yum. Eat up those targets, yum. Fish heads. And Puka Nacua, we got to tell the kids about Dr. Demento. Dr. Demento,
Always.
everybody. Dr.
Always.
Demento is going to lighten things. It's going to lift your soul, as is Puka Nacua picking him up and not selling high on him. And don't sell high even when Cooper Kupp is back. This is still an Indianapolis pass defense that we want to pick on. Again, maybe DeAndre Hopkins has a pretty big game against them next week. Kyron Williams, using them a lot. This is a smaller back. I think he was 5'9", 194 at the combine. 25 carries. Just know that Bronny Rivers actually looked pretty good in his 9 carries, getting a little more work in overtime. So we're going to talk about him on the waiver wire show for sure. Tyler Higbee coming in with an Achilles issue, still looking good as a receiver. And you wonder, hey, when Cooper Kupp comes back, this offense could be humming, really humming. And they were able to do it. They had a big lead. They had to come back and win it in overtime. And we'll see how this team measures up against the undefeated Eagles, barely undefeated. More on that later.
You'd wondered what Anthony Richardson was going to do upon his return. Did he make it through the whole game, Bloom?
He did.
Oh, hey, everybody. First time. Anthony Richardson, 11 for 25, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Drew Ogletree, 3 for 48 and a touch. Nobody started him. Mo Alley Cox, 1 for 35 and a touch. Say it with me. Nobody started him. Alec Pierce, 1 for 38. We're watching him. And Josh Downs, we're watching him. We're not starting him. You started Michael Pittman, 1 for 15. Damn it. Started Zach Moss, 18 for 70. Okay, Sandy. And Richardson, by the way, had a rushing touchdown of 56 yards on the ground, benefiting his fantasy day. So fantasy, some happiness, some sadness with this Colts team, but not a win.
What you like in this one is Anthony Richardson down big early, big fantasy game, almost a comeback win too, not just against garbage time defenses, making plays, making clutch plays. And for fantasy, it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good, Anthony Richardson. And was not a great passing day in terms of accuracy and the passing game getting on track. That's why Michael Pittman wasn't good. Even Zach Moss wasn't really on track for most of this game, still mustered the 70 rushing yards. But in a game where Richardson only has 11 completions, you're not going to have big numbers from the passing game. So that makes you, again, look forward to what could be coming against that Tennessee pass defense next week, what could be coming for this Indianapolis team when maybe they're going to have Jonathan Taylor back.
Oh,
yeah, we'll see. He's cleared to practice. The 21-day window is open. So there's a window opening. And you put Jonathan Taylor on the field, now this team becomes really interesting.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Not very interesting. Tampa Bay and the Saints. Our next game up to talk about. And oh boy, Bloom, you'll be saying something about the Saints. You'll be saying something about both teams. Dance, monkey. Anyway, 26 for 9. It's a good song. 3 for 1 for Baker Mayfield, 246 in this game. Rachaad White, 15 for 56 in this one. Chris Godwin, 8 for 114. Devin Tompkins, 4 for 45 and a touchdown. Kate Otten. And every time the box score comes across the screen, it's like Cotton. Oh, Kate Otten. Yeah. 3 for 13 and a touchdown. Trey Palmer, speedster, but 2 for 6 for a touchdown. All right, it's enough. Mike Evans, 3 for 40. All right. Here we go. But Tampa wins, and well, it's 14-3 at the half. They score 12 quarter points, and there you go.
Yeah, Baker owns the dome today. Tampa Bay with a big win over this division is, I guess, Tampa. Tampa's in control with this win, and that's even with Mike Evans leaving with a hamstring injury. So it was Chris Godwin having a bigger game. You saw Devin Tompkins, the diminutive receiver, scoring a touchdown. Kate Otten did have a touchdown on this one. Not as much for Rachaad White. It was really Baker Mayfield. Yes, Baker Mayfield, first place. Baker Mayfield, first place, rebuilding Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not so fast. The team that you wonder if they should be accepting rebuilding, at least coming out of this game, is the New Orleans Saints, and maybe don't hand off to the fullback at your own goal line.
Yeah. Bloom, talk to me about this, because it was the return of Alvin Kamara. Okay.
Right.
13 catches?
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's plans, and then there's bad plans. And Alvin Kamara, in his first game back, 33 yards, by the way. What? Really gonna? Can you make up for your lost time? Right? It's like, can you work off the clock? Can we jam in some extra work in this work time? Like, I don't know. Does it even matter? Michael Thomas, whatever. Chris Olave 1 for 4. Who cares what Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, or Taysom Hill did? Like, this was weird, Bloom. Weird.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of the ugly offensive games they would have last year. Derek Carr was supposed to fix that, kind of did for a little bit. He rallied to play this week despite the shoulder injury, the AC sprain. Maybe he shouldn't have played. I don't know. Certainly from the output here, like you said, 13 for 33. That's not Alvin Kamara's rushing numbers. That's his receiving numbers in PPR leagues. This is the game, Cease, that people who hate PPR, they're going to point to this and say, there's no way that should have equaled a good fantasy game. There's just no way, and I can't necessarily say that is wrong. Juwan Johnson had a calf injury, not that really mattered. So yeah, you saw Chris Olave. This is painful. You saw Michael Thomas did a little bit. Rashid Shaheed didn't do much. This is painful. And then you got to face Bill Belichick. Dallas is saying, we don't care about Bill Belichick. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. And again, this was a game where they had a chance going into halftime, maybe down 7-3. Adam Prentice, the fullback, fumbles at the Saints goal line, and then the Bucs are able to score and go into halftime with a more than 1 score lead, which was too much for the Saints to overcome today.
Washington, Philadelphia Commanders. Okay. All right. You did it. I mean, well, you put up a fight anyway. But in a game where we all felt Philadelphia would win easy, well, they did win, but nothing is easy. Nothing is over. 34-31, the final score. Eagles get the win, 4-0. Commanders 2-2. Sam Howell 290, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Terry McLaurin 8 for 86. Giammi Brown 2 for 51. It was Jahan Dotson with the receiving touchdown, 4 for 27 and a touch. Logan Thomas 3 for 41. Curtis Samuel 7 for 51. Plus Samuel had a rushing touchdown. Yeah, okay. Brian Robinson 14-45 and a touchdown. Did I miss anybody? Antonio Gibson, they don't use him enough for you to be starting him. But they did fight, and you love to see that. Of course, it's Ron Rivera, baby. They're gonna put up a fight.
We saw this team get really humbled last week, 37-3 at home against Buffalo. And you thought, well, okay, you faced Arizona, you faced Denver, but then you faced a real defense. This is what happens. Well, this is a real defense, the Eagles defense, and they were on the road in the division. And again, I guess this is a reminder in these divisional games. You can look at the matchups on paper. You can even look at the trends coming in. A lot of times that goes out the window. Sam Howell learned something last week. No turnovers in this one after throwing 4 interceptions last week. Eric Bieniemy, see, you have to think that means Eric Bieniemy learned something too, right? Even if it's just what plays put his quarterback in danger of being induced to make a bad decision. Because with Sam Howell, and this is good, when you have a quarterback that you need to rein in, that's good. When you have a quarterback that you need to nudge or urge to take some chances, that's harder. It's harder to transplant nerve into a quarterback. Sam Howell's got plenty of nerve. This was a nervy Washington team, a steady Brian Robinson. And again, Antonio Gibson's not really going to encroach on his fantasy value, even though they split this backfield in terms of snaps. Terry McLaurin, check your scoring. Check your scoring, folks. An offensive fumble recovery touchdown, does it count? You're going to find out if you were facing Terry McLaurin or if you had Terry McLaurin in. This is one of those moments in fantasy football when, well, that's the rule, and you're not going to change the rule midseason, even if it seems unfair. Curtis Samuel scores on a really nice play that the Philly defense just didn't understand how to react to on a jet sweep at the goal line. And you saw Jahan Dotson, who did score a touchdown, finally go down in this one, an ankle. So you would expect that Curtis Samuel next week against Chicago. Yes, Chicago. And remember, this team, 2-1 coming into this game, could have easily been 3-1, took this one to overtime, and they're ahead of schedule. Sam Howell's ahead of schedule. So see, this is not a team. This isn't like Atlanta where you say everything's there except the quarterback. You say not a lot's there, but maybe they do have the quarterback.
They got a quarterback in Philadelphia, and he's officially awesome. He's Jalen Hurts, 319, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, 34 yards on the ground. A.J. Brown, the apple of his eye, 9 for 175 and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 7 for 78. Dallas Goedert, 2 for 25. DeAndre Swift, 14 for 56 and a rushing touchdown, plus 4 for 23 as a receiver. So there you go. They got it done, and it took overtime to get it there.
Another game we'll say the Eagles are undefeated, but they're not playing their best football. Not yet. And again, kind of like Baltimore on the other side in the AFC. That's a good place to be at the end of the first quarter of the season. Jalen Hurts better as a passer in this one. Was it just Washington's pass defense? Again, Justin Fields gets to face them, and Hurts is going to play the Rams. DeAndre Swift, in case the box score threw you off with Kenneth Gainwell's garbage time work last week, he is the clear number one. Not as efficient of a running game, still a good fantasy game, and he looks like a potential league winner. A.J. Brown doing A.J. Brown things, and you know that it's going to be Devontae Smith's turn again soon. Don't worry. And the down weeks you absorb to get these big weeks. Dallas Goedert, where are the big weeks? That's the guy we're really wondering about. Maybe not a drop because tight end is thin, but if you have other options that have been out producing him, maybe you think about going away from him against the Rams next week. Should be a very interesting game. Philly's looking mortal, but when you emerge from these divisional games, the winner, you're thankful.
You are thankful. If you're Minnesota, you're thankful. You got to win. All right. A matchup of 0-3 teams again. Notice how I'm avoiding the Steelers game. It is Minnesota and Carolina. Let's talk about it. 21-13, the final score. Vikings are 1-3. Carolina Panthers are 0-4. Kirk Cousins 2-2 and 139. All right. Justin Jefferson got the 2, though. So there you go. 6 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. Take that. TJ Hawkinson, 2 for 24. You're not starting KJ Osborne or Jordan Addison. It's just not there yet. Alexander Madison, Cam Akers debut. Like, okay, Madison, 95 yards on the ground. He didn't give up the rock, did he? Any fumbles here? What's going on? All right, Minnesota, you got your first win, but what did we learn?
Not much at all. I guess what we learned is when Minnesota plays a bad team, even if they play badly at first, it's not going to be that high passing volume. So you were looking at Kirk Cousins thinking this offense is going to run through him and he's going to be an every week fantasy quarterback. Not as much this week, although it could have been a better week. He threw a 99-yard pick six. So he threw a 99-yard pick six. And the Vikings still won pretty comfortably in this one. Although you wondered, see, there was a point during this game when I wondered, are we going to hear Kirk Cousins trade talk if they were going into the week 5, 0-4? But they're not. You did see Alexander Madison doing more as a runner, and Cam Akers looking pretty good as a runner. So they have a game backup, but it is Madison's backfield. Maybe it was just having some bad matchups, Tampa Bay and Philadelphia, to start out the season against the run. And then, of course, it's all Justin Jefferson. So when you have Cousins, I think, throwing the ball 19 times, only one mouth's going to get fed. And you know that's going to be Justin Jefferson, not Jordan Addison, and not KJ Osborne, and not TJ Hawkinson. So we'll see next week. Minnesota's playing Kansas City. I don't think that's a game that they're going to get ahead. I don't think that's a game that they're going to be able to lean on Alexander Madison. So bounce back weeks coming for Hawkinson and Addison, and maybe we'll get the Kirk Cousins trade talks started up again.
There we go. Fired up again. And if you're Carolina, Bryce Young is back. Goes 25-32, 204. Okay, no touchdowns, but no INT. Sacked 5 times. Got to clean that one up. Adam Thielen, 7 for 76. So did he learn something from Andy Dalton slinging it all over the place? Like, yeah, go at Thielen. Terrace Marshall, 9 for 56, 10 targets. DJ Chark, 2 for 28. Miles Sanders was playing 13 for 19 and then 3 for 13 as a receiver. Chuba Hubbard, 14 for 41 to lead the way on the ground, 2 for 12 as a receiver. So it's just, they've got some pieces. They don't have everything. They got old guys can't play anymore, new guys that are just learning how to play. Like, it's a bit of a mess, Bloom. That's why they're 0-4.
Cease, I feel like every time we do the Panthers preview or recap, I just have to mention the Bears have their first round pick next year. The Bears have their first. Everybody talked about the Texans having the first 2 picks. Carolina says, here we are. Oh, we gave away the number 1 pick next year, maybe the number 2 pick. Chicago is the team. Wouldn't it be great? You have Justin Fields, you clear the deck, and you do 2 more trades like this year where you just stock up, give Justin Fields 1 more chance with everything around him and a new head coach and a new GM. I don't know. Just spitballing here because, well, who wants to talk about this Carolina offense? Miles Sanders hurting. The groin is affecting him. All right, this is an injury he's had coming out of camp. Chuba Hubbard we'll talk about on the waiver wire show. Next week against Detroit might not matter anyway. 0-5. I don't want to bloom the Lions. You did see a defensive touchdown for the Vikings, DJ Wanham with that one. Bryce Young knows to throw to Adam Thielen, but you see his ceilings lower with Bryce Young in there. And Terrace Marshall, there was some talk going into this game that the Panthers aren't folding up shop. They're buyers. They're looking for a receiver. I think that Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy were mentioned. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Cease. Lassie Barks or anything like that. But are you still buyers? Panthers, maybe Terrace Marshall will get chances to have this empty calorie volume for fantasy football. Again, Detroit Lions. We need to recap the Lions. A rousing victory, and they're going to try to keep going against the Panthers next week.
Yeah, what are the Steelers going to keep going?
Down.
Long Beach native. Let's go Steelers. But he says the magic word every day. Every day. Oh, why is Matt Canada in charge? Why is it so bad, Bloom? Why? It can't. I mean, it's obvious, right? I mean, seriously, it's obvious.
Yeah.
And it's so predictable. Greg Roman says this offense is predictable. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. 30-6, final score. Texans over the Steelers. We are going to talk about it. I said I'd be okay, Bloom. Give me a day. Kenny Pickett. Whatever. Najee. Why are we talking about any of this stuff, dude?
Right.
Seriously, all this talent and just, it's Matt Canada. Mitch Trubisky's he's awful. I guess he's not as bad as Blake Bortles. Oh, the tea I could spill on that one. Everybody already knows it. Anyway, get me through this, brother. I'd said I'd need a day. So, yeah, give me a day.
Yeah, these are names. Blake Bortles sounds like we're in a Roald Dahl book, and the Steelers are the punchline in this one. Kenny Pickett gets hurt in this one, and we'll see. Didn't look good. Not that this offense was doing much anyway. Najee Harris was better. It doesn't matter. You're still seeing Jalen Warren get some work in the pass game. It doesn't matter. George Pickens, it doesn't matter. See, we're going to be talking about Deontay Johnson maybe as a shut him down, because what are you waiting around for? What is there to wait around for? Pat Freiermuth, hamstring injury. What are we waiting around for? I know what we're waiting around for. Ratbird Steelers just doesn't have the same excitement when it's this Steelers team.
No. But Houston, and talking to some people around the league and in the know, they love him, man. They love him. I love it. I love it for CJ Stroud, right?
Yes.
And we're still being patient with Bryce Young, but Young, Stroud, how about both?
Mm-hmm.
How about Stroud doing his thing, man? And the bold moves the Texans made, and just the energy that building has. And it's good because maybe their ownership isn't what you want it to be. Anyway, Stroud goes 306, 2 touchdowns in this one. Devin Singletary comes in and throws a touchdown pass as well. Dameon Pierce is 24 for 81 on the ground. He's 1 for 27 as a receiver. You've got Nico Collins, 7 for 168 and 2 touchdowns. Imagine if you got Puka Nacua, Nico Collins on your team, and you drafted him late or mid-round and then late, whatever. Dalton Schultz, 3 for 42 and a touchdown. Robert Woods, 3 for 26. Okay, so that's uneven there. We love John Mechie. Tank Dell, 1 for 16. Okay, what a couple rushes, whatever is whatever. But they believe, man, and the magical thinking, the power, the belief that they are putting together for the Houston Texans. It's fun to watch. Not this week fun to watch, but it's fun to watch.
It is. And see, we saw this in week 1. They lost to the Ravens 25-9, but they forced some turnovers on defense, D'Amico Ryan's defense, and CJ Stroud had a good day throwing the ball. And you saw they got blown out by the Colts, but again, CJ Stroud looked good throwing the ball, not just because it was a garbage time defense, not just because it was the Colts. And then you saw things really start to turn around next week after that. And now you see this team, again, internally, this team should be talking about winning the division title and hosting a playoff game. Only Cam Newton had more passing yards in his first 4 games as a pro. Only Cam Newton. 151 pass attempts, Cease. How many interceptions? How many interceptions does CJ Stroud have through 4 games?
0, right?
0.
And we have to remember Cam as a rookie was different, like special.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
story of
people
the
forget
NFL.
that, but
Yeah.
rookie Cam was like, "Oh God, look
Yeah.
out!"
Yeah, after having a terrible preseason too, by the way. But Bobby Slowick, we got to mention him. We got to mention Nico Collins. Wow, Nico Collins next week against AJ Terrell. Let's get the isolated camera on that. Let's watch that as Nico Collins, and you can see whether Tank Dell and Nico Collins. See, dare I say, it's like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, or Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You take some lumps because you know the big games are going to be big. With massive Steelers secondary, vulnerable, going up against Baltimore next week. Dameon Pierce, there was a drive, I think they had like 7 or 8 plays inside the goal to go plays because of penalties. Dameon Pierce had chances for touchdowns that got like wiped off the board. So you finally saw Nico Collins with a touchdown on that drive. But it's coming for Dameon Pierce. When you're the lead running back for a team that is with an arrow pointing up, it is coming for Dameon Pierce. It's coming for this Texans team, and they're facing an Atlanta team going the opposite direction. So CJ Stroud's for real. Nico Collins is for real. Cease, I think this Texans team is for real.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I just uploaded this, Bloom. I'll find the correct one because it's from a side character in Archer, who was only in one episode, by the way. But amazing, right? Right, everybody?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Bloom, let's go over the afternoon games
Yeah.
quickly. Sounds like my guy Michael Wilson scored his first touchdown, huh?
Yeah, Arizona, as always, outperforming expectations. Kyler Murray not in the practice window. Tyler Dunn, who knows a few things, said week 8 is his expectation. But
Okay.
Cardinals hanging around in this game, although Christian McCaffrey has 4 touchdowns as of the moment. Josh Dobbs and also Brandon Ayuk having a big game. And it's the 49ers. There's your Super Bowl favorite as of this moment. Chargers, Justin Herbert having a big game. You're seeing the Raiders, well, Aiden O'Connell, a la DTR, some moments, but not ready. A better passer than DTR at this point. But you see, it's not like he's going to be taking the NFL by storm like a CJ Stroud, although it is a big game for Josh Jacobs. You've been waiting for the bounce back game from Jacobs. You got it. The Cowboys just housing the Patriots, and defensive touchdowns, offensive touchdowns. Michael Gallup still looks good. Still some problems in the red zone finishing drives, but they don't care. Jake Ferguson looking good. CeeDee Lamb gets a touchdown on this one at least. On the Patriots side, there was some reports coming into this one that Ezekiel Elliott was going to get quote unquote starter snaps. I don't know what that looks like, but if it means he gets half the carries as of this moment as from Ramondre Stevenson, then that doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter because this is not a good offense, and they're playing a very good defense. And what you like from the Cowboys in this one, Cease, they said that Dan Quinn sat his defense down. They watched the tape, and they said, that's not us. That doesn't look like us. This looks like the Cowboys defense, and that Cowboys defense is going to get to play San Francisco next week. Remember, that was the biggest game on the calendar as kids. Well, we weren't quite kids at that. You maybe were a little older than I was. That was the game. Like, that was the marquee NFL game. Guess what? It's the marquee NFL game.
It is the game to watch. It is the National Football League, and we are here to talk all about it. It is the Audible. He is Sigmund Bloom. I am Cecil Lammey. We are the Audible. Do a few things for us. First off, just know we appreciate you, Bloom. Having this audience and the kindness therein with this within this audience. I've told you before, this is an unfair conversation, Bloom. But I've told you before, like, hang out in the YouTube comments. Like, we get some really good, some jerks, whatever. It's YouTube comments, so it's a little dangerous, but like for the most part, the community that y'all have put together, like it's all you, it's all love. It's like love for this game. Like we're gonna come in, have our opinions, we're gonna go back and forth. Like it's a cool experience, man, and I really, really appreciate that. Let's make the Audible the best part of your day, right, Bloom? We all need that pick me up. Whatever happened to your fantasy team? Maybe you ran up against Christian McCaffrey, Nico Collins, and Puka Nacua, and you need some relief. I guess that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, I feel the love. I feel the love from the folks out there. And I think, again, it's a reminder that we want to win in fantasy football, or we want to at least feel like we made it go and had some good calls. But mostly it's that peace that comes over us when we're together and when we're managing our teams, or when we're doing our research and absorbing our information and sharing that space and really just connecting with each other, having shared experiences, even if the shared experience is misery of being a Steelers fan.
Yeah. Want to see something cool, Bloom?
Always. A
Yeah.
dead body?
No. You mentioned my comic books. I just got these metal trading cards. These will be available to people who back the Familiars on Kickstarter. The
Ooh.
Familiars is my animated feature, which is basically
That a
Fox and
pug?
Hound meets Harry Potter. Yep, it's a pug and a Siamese cat, Zizi and Katana. It's about being yourself
Oh, we
because
should
my
talk about
pug
Siamese cats.
Zizi,
Yeah.
he could do all the things the big dogs could do in terms of being a cow dog, but he
Yeah.
also like lived with the cats. He
Right.
washed himself like a cat.
Yeah.
He tried to get
That's
intimate
smart.
with the cats. He thought he was a cat.
That's
So this
I
is a
mean
story set in the Salem witch trials about like just being yourself, man. Like whatever, do it. So yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like
got
it.
these
I
metal
like it.
trading card. Metal. It's actually like thick metal.
Built to last. Put it in the time capsule. We should talk about Siamese cats. You know, they were the palace guards back in Siam. And we've got a palace guard here in our house who takes the weight of the world on her shoulders. So yeah, we should talk about Siamese characters because I've got a real character roaming around behind me here.
Oh, that's right. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammey. The show is at the Audible. Everyone. Why did I just go Rick James on here? Unity. Anyway, be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty,